Welcome to Women Making News Live. I'm your host, Demi Hicks, and our special guest today is Shannon Alfonso, the president and CEO of Marsh McLennan Agency, Florida. Shannon, welcome to Women Making News.
Hi, Demi. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, yeah, so glad you are here. So, Shannon, tell us about Marsh McLennan Agency, Florida.
Yeah, so Marsh McLennan Agency, which is affectionately called MMA from time to time, is a subsidiary of Marsh. It's a little complicated when you think about our corporate structure, but we're within a family of companies known as Marsh McLennan Companies. And we comprise this global professional services firm that's really focused on risk, strategy, and people. MMA is the subsidiary that I'm working for, and we're pretty young at only 13 years old within the family of MMC companies that's a 150-year-old parent. And this came about in 2011 when the privately held firm that I was working for at the time was acquired by Marsh. And this newly formed subsidiary was about 3 years old, and we were the ninth acquisition. So now, fast forward today, MMA has made 95 acquisitions, and my area of oversight is specific to the Florida region, where we focus on employee benefits and commercial insurance for mid to large size companies, as well as personal lines insurance.
So, Shannon, as a little girl, did you dream of being a CEO in a big company?
I don't recall dreaming about being a CEO, but no doubt, as the big sister of the family, I liked being the boss. And what I would also say is, thinking about being in a company in the industry that I'm in, like many people in the same industry, I really got into this industry by accident. And when I was graduating from college, I had an accounting degree, and I was just looking for a start. I was just looking for a paycheck and a way to really pay off student debt at that time. So I was 26 years ago as an underwriter in training for employee benefits in Tennessee, my home state. And now here I sit as a CEO.
And so, tell us a little bit more about that path. You did share about MMA and all of the acquisitions, but how exactly did you get from being an underwriter to being in the C-suite and the CEO? That's quite a path.
Yes, it is, and one that I'm very, very proud to share. My transition to the role I'm in today, which is president and CEO of MMA here in Florida, that was 8 years ago. And at first, I was really excited, also terrified, and a bit apprehensive, if I'm being honest. So my career journey up to that point had really been a mix of opportunities that once I got into the industry, I started to see all the different facets that the business had. And I had no clue going in what all was there. But I was able to really jump over to different types of opportunities, from the back office into client service and sales. And sometimes that was about the challenge, the experience, and sometimes it was about money. But this opportunity for becoming a CEO really came when I wasn't expecting it.
Ah.
And it's one of those things, like, I'm a planner, so this thing coming out of nowhere was really a little bit frightening at the time. I wasn't sure I was ready for it. My predecessor, the former CEO, had announced his decision to leave the organization in early 2014. That was not quite 3 years after we had sold the private firm and become part of Marsh. And me nor any of my peers at the time really saw that coming. So for me, it was like, okay, what does this mean? This change in leadership, what's going to happen? I had certainly had experiences when leadership changes, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it wasn't good. So it scared me to death. But I knew I wasn't like that predecessor. I knew we were very different, not in a bad way, just really different, and worried about what this leadership change going to mean. So it was really unique because my peers at that time came around me and started to support me and advocate for me to take this on. I was humbled by their outreach and support and their words of encouragement, but inside I was like, are you kidding? I don't know if I want to do this. So really, they were on board way before I was. But I started thinking about it and I started really giving it some serious thought and talking about it with my family and debating, how can this work? Like, is this right for me? Is this right for my family? Is this the next step? And I just had this revelation come over me that, like, well, why are you worried about the next leader? Why don't you just do it? I should go for it, right? I know this wasn't in the plan, but this uncertainty makes me comfortable. But I've had a lot of great experiences on my journey in life, and it's time to take the bull by the horns, right? So I stepped up and was really, just apprehensive, thinking I don't think I'm qualified for this role. But I felt confident that I can learn. I can get into this. I will roll up my sleeves. I will figure this out. And I had these fears of, are they going to accept me? Are they going to support me? How's this going to work, right? Because I was a fairly unique CEO at that time, because of being female, and didn't feel like I had that experience. But what I wasn't giving credit to, Demi, was the fact that MMA believed in me, right? They were the ones saying, come on, let's do this, jump in, and we're here to support you.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. So your opportunity to become the CEO sort of emerged from those around you that believed in you more than what I hear you saying, more than you maybe believed in yourself. But through
Yep.
thoughtful reflection, you said, I'm taking this risk, I'm going for it. But what
Yep.
I further heard you say was that MMA has been behind you all the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very proud of that fact. I think a lot of things that were in my head were just in my head. We talk a lot about that with talent today, that we're working on development with, and the trash that gets in your head can be your worst enemy sometimes. So
Yeah.
MMA was there for me and continues to be very supportive of me today.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate hearing that. So, what do you love most about being the CEO of a large organization of MMA Florida?
Um, I think what I love most about it is that I'm CEO, but that I'm not any different than anybody else. Like, I want to win, the team wants to win, and the times that I enjoy the most are when we're all working together and we're rowing that boat in the same direction, and we're just all giving it our all. Once we have that realization as a team that it's not any one of us, it's all of us. And I really work on that a lot, with me and my team, my executive team and our leadership team. That's just a great feeling. You just feel like you are, the Super Bowl champions, right? From year to year, trying to just make something happen, but you're not in it alone, and you're in it with a lot of other people that are committed to win as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, Shannon, oftentimes, especially, and you mentioned that obviously you are a woman and you are a CEO, and oftentimes I hear in the conversations, and I know myself that voice is claiming your voice as a woman, claiming your voice as any woman, but as a leader. Talk to us about claiming your voice and about the confidence that goes with that.
Yeah, so I think, going back to when I took this role 8 years ago, that was part of the fear for me. Being female, coming into a group of, at that time, it was all male CEOs, and they all knew each other. They were longtime friends, had worked in the business a long time. They worked from a different side of the business than I had, meaning property and casualty was a lot of their focus. And I had come from the benefits side of the world, which, we all come together, but we just had different backgrounds. So I was walking into the room scared to speak up sometimes, like just fear that I'm going to say something stupid or, I just didn't know that business. Right. And I just felt so vulnerable with that and was overly conscious of the fact that I was female. And I do have a Southern accent. From time to time, it comes out. So those couple of things going in there just made me even, feel more vulnerable. So what I realized was, okay, this is a group of well-respected men. They've got a lot that I can learn from. They were very close and socialized outside of work. So I really didn't know them personally, didn't have much in common with them. So just feeling that difference was a bit of a challenge to get past. And for me, I kept going back to these questions in my head. Are they going to accept me? Do they really support me? Are we competing? Do they see me as a peer? Do they think I'm qualified? It was really me. It was my head trash, right? Because I don't think they were saying that at all.
Yeah.
And being an introvert, right, just kind of afraid to put myself out there, just made all of that at once feel quite a bit overwhelming. So when I tend to speak, it's usually because I am just confidently passionate about it, and I've usually researched, right, and I have a lot of data, and I'm usually, try to be very factual. So what I did was I took time to listen, to learn a little bit more about the business, to learn a little bit more about their legacies, about them as individuals. And by the way, some of them had Southern accents, so that was nice. That was comforting once I heard that. And then what would happen to me is somebody would say something, and I was like, that's exactly what I was just thinking. Why didn't I speak up? Why am I so afraid to speak up? Because I'm so with them. I know what they're talking about. And I just, out of that fear of showing a weakness, had been holding myself back.
Yeah.
So over time, I spending more time with the individuals in the group and others that I would say, thinking about allyship, people that came to me that wanted to sponsor me, help me, coach me, mentor me, all of those things. I really soaked a lot of that up and just worked on my confidence in learning, the questions I had, the doubts I had, right? Talking about those things with those folks that had come forward and just, learn to build that confidence. And, a little bit of speaking up, right? It was like, okay, I had something to say. They agreed and they saw value and they expressed gratitude for my value. So all of a sudden, where I knew I had value, they were sharing that they saw my value, and so your guards just kind of go down.
Yeah.
And that became really nice. I started to embrace my voice as an asset. That really, then I said, okay, this is how I make a difference. This is how I make an impact for my team, for our region, and for the firm, right, where all these folks are working with me.
Yeah. So that was action packed, what you just said. So let me see if I can um, ask you a few questions from that. It sounds like you started to understand your part and the work that you needed to do to claim your confidence in your voice and take some chances. But it sounds like you were very strategic about doing that. Accurate or not accurate?
Along the way, I wouldn't say I wrote down and had a strategic plan.
Yeah.
I didn't set out with a strategic plan, but yeah, along the way, yes.
Okay. And it also sounds like you're in an organization that supports women.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
Yeah, and that to me, that's something like you hear firms say that, and I think maybe I went into it a little skeptical of that. But 8 years later, it's just been proven over and over and over again to me. Even times where in my head I had these vulnerabilities or these concerns about something because I was female, and on the other side of the table, that was never true. And in fact, the evidence, the facts, were quite the opposite. So I've learned to not even go there in my head, right? Because there's no point in it. It's exhausting and it takes away from spending time doing the things that are more valuable.
Yeah. Shannon, so what tips or what counsel would you give to women who are not in your organization, but who are out there uh, who either have the same opportunity you did, where a C-suite role becomes available to them, or they have their eye on the C-suite. What
Yeah.
would be your tip to them in terms of claiming their voice and building their confidence when they don't know if they have those allies?
Yeah. Well, I think you got to spend the time seeking them out, or they will seek you out, right? Some people are that way, right? They have, like me, like I try to find those opportunities to give back, right? What someone's done for me. And the other thing I would say is get people outside of the organization to be your coaches, your mentors, right? So you can get unbiased points of view, right? That aren't going to really go down the rabbit holes of whatever business you're in, but that outsider's perspective to really look at things from, the facts and not the business or not the emotions, and maybe give you some guidance in what they hear, what they see, what they might suggest. I think that was a key for me, was having those coaches outside the organization as well.
Yeah. And do you keep a circle of those people around you today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just not, my personality's never been the lone wolf type. I really love working in teams and having teams and networks around me. So I have circles, I would say, inside the organization where we come together and we're in similar roles and we're able to share and learn together. And then I have the same thing outside the organization where I may talk about some of the same challenges, but it just helps me get a different perspective that's different from what you might be looking at inside the business.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something else that you said because I think it's so important. And that is, you talked about that you would do your research, you would accumulate the data, and so and you, in other words, you would prepare before you walked into a room. Can you
Mhm.
offer some thoughts and some counsel about the importance of preparation and research and data, even if you're not that kind of individual that follows that suit?
Yeah. So it's funny because I always labeled myself as not a salesperson coming up in my career, which was so inaccurate. I mean, in my business, we're all salespeople at some point, and not so much selling our services or a product, but selling yourself, right? Putting yourself out there. So what I would spend time doing is making sure I knew who's going to be in attendance. Who do I know? Have I met any of these people before? Who or somebody I might know that knows these people, right? Thinking about those 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And what might be relevant topics at that time, right? Somebody I might want to seek out for something specific, very similar to if you were walking into prospect, right, and sell something. But in this case, I'm trying to just leverage the power of this network, but also show up with something to offer too, right? Because I'm sure I had something of value that I wanted to make sure they got to know me at the same time, and I could put those things out there. So really, just showing up with knowing who's going to be in the room, what do I know about them, who knows them, what are some current circumstances or events going on, and things where I might be able to make some connections that would keep us connected beyond just that one meeting.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Shannon, you and I had several conversations in preparation for this broadcast, and each time servant leadership emerged. What are your beliefs about servant leadership?
Well, my belief is, not even just a belief, I know this is core to me as a leader. Everybody kind of has their leaders they are attracted to and those they're not, right? And for me, servant leadership is something that I really thrived under and I thrive to be as a leader. And I didn't know this about myself until I became a CEO. So there was just so many things about my role that I didn't know, right, coming into it, which I shared earlier. But what I did know was what I thought was a good leader and a not so good leader when you thought about people you want to follow. And I knew I wanted to be a good leader. And for me, that meant being of service to colleagues, right? Being one of them, not the big sister boss of them, but being part of the team, right? Not being that dictator, but being that one who says, I'm here with you and I want to win with you. And I win by helping them win. So what I learned in these last 8 years is that role of title, if you will, right, of CEO has this perceived power that comes with it. That's pretty amazing to me when you think about it. But you get power by giving it away. And in my mind, that is, I look to build my team around those people who are looking to be empowered, because once they're included and empowered, they're going to rise up and they're going to commit to succeed with you. And to me, that's serving them. That's saying, let's talk about what your passion is, where you want to spend your time, what contributions you want to make. And then my job is to make sure they're empowered so they can do that. They thrive, they're successful, they're happy, they're engaged. And then we together, collectively, we win together. And I'll tell you this thing, another leader that I admire and respect a ton, always throws this quote out from time to time. He says, and I'm sure this is probably somebody famous way back that said this.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know that part, but the quote is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that
I
is
know
so,
who said that.
but it's so powerful. And I wish I had thought of that when I first came in to be the CEO, because I'm so worried about what I didn't know. But fast forward now, under servant leadership, they care way more about knowing that I care and that I want us all to succeed together.
Yeah, yeah. So you've had this 8-year leadership journey as CEO. What are you most proud of?
Ooh, um, hmm. So that's hard because there's a lot of things that I am proud of. There's been a lot of struggles, right? We have our ups and our downs. But I guess what's so near and close to me right now is we just completed our best year ever. 2021. And when I say our best year ever, it's easy to think about that from the financials perspective, right? Our growth and our new business and all those things, which were our best year ever. But what was also our best ever was our engagement scores. And during a time that's been so volatile and so uncomfortable for people, we've seen our engagement scores go up with our team. And that just grabs my heart, because that says they are hearing us as a leadership team say that we care about them. We're putting their safety first. We're practicing flexibility. Yes, we still want to win, but not at the price of their health, right? So we've been really working on balancing that and seeing that come out with just an incredible year of success all around, with the numbers and outside the numbers. Has to be what's top of mind for me today as being something I'm most proud of.
I would say so. Congratulations.
Thank
And so,
you.
so Shannon, as we come to a close, which I really don't want to, so many other things have emerged since we've been here together today. But what message do you hope that our audience takes away from their time with you?
Well, I mean, hopefully you heard like where I started, way in the back room somewhere, and then my journey, even getting here to a CEO. So I really hope it helps others see what's possible. And what I would say is, for me, it's about never stopping my efforts to learn, to explore, and experience, really everything that life has to offer out there. I believe that attitude is key to success. I think that's played a big part in my success. And I know when I truly want something, I have the power to make it happen, right? I might not see that direct path, but when I stay committed and focused, I'll get there. But most importantly, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, the ones who lift you up, who really want to serve you and see you grow. I think that's important to think about. Embracing vulnerability and believing in yourself. So those are things that really stand out for me when I look back on my journey, and maybe that'll resonate for some other folks out there.
Wow. Amazing. Shannon, thank you for being with me today and for being here on Women Making News Live. I can only imagine what next year and the 7 after that are going to look like for you in MMA, Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Demi. Thanks for having me.
Scholarships are the very heart of Women Making News, and it is with great joy and appreciation that I announce today our scholarship award winner is Stephanie Tatum. And Stephanie was nominated by our partner, Women Lifting Women. Stephanie will receive leadership coaching through Women Lifting Women. Scholarships are only made possible through our donors and our sponsors. Today's scholarship was made possible by our sponsor, MMA Florida. Please consider donating and sponsoring to Women Making News. I encourage you to go to our website, www.womenmakingnews.org. Sponsor or donate today. And then come back and be with us April 20th when we'll have our next broadcast. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.